I still can't hear Katey, but I can see her.
Yeah. Do it again.
All right. I just heard something, Katey.
Hello?
Yay! Okay, we can all hear you. You are good to go. I will turn it over to Katey. Everybody welcome.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good
Hello.
to see you back. Good to see my pals. Not that I really see you, but okay. So I want to ask everybody to make sure they have a blanket for Shavasana, final relaxation. And if you have your blocks, you might want to keep them close. We're going to have a gentle practice today, so we're not going to do anything really strenuous. But I want you to use anything you need to make you as comfortable as possible in your practice today. So I want to begin with just a quick little review of what we talked about last week, which were the 3 gunas, is what they're called in Sanskrit. And they are the 3 properties, or you could say moods, of all matter in creation. So there's the sort of mood of lots of energy and movement on one side, which is called rajas, and on the other side, there's the mood of stillness and little bit of flatness, perhaps. And then in the middle, we have sattva, which is a perfect balance between those two, where you can flow through your day and not be too much one or the other. And these properties apply to everything. You can have a Rajistic rainstorm. We've had lots of them lately, where it's just pouring to beat the band, sort of a fierce, turmoiled rain, as opposed to a more gentle sun shower, perhaps. So these qualities of how energy manifests, particularly within us, I feel are very helpful at this time on our planet to give us a frame of reference for how we're feeling, because most of us, I would say, are madly swinging from one extreme to the other. So perhaps we're cleaning out every closet and every cupboard with tons of energy one morning, and then the next morning we can barely slither out of bed, and our moods are fluctuating, and just finding that center where we can just be and accept and not feel fearful and not feel out of control and not feel like there's stuff we've got to do, but just take it all as it comes. So it's a particularly important time for me personally, and that's why I'm sharing this with you, to be able to identify my moods within the gunas. And so what we're gonna work on today is taking it a little deeper into the concept of Sukha Sthira. And those of you who have taken classes with me before have heard me mention this term. And this is perhaps the most important principle about the physical poses of yoga, the asanas. And I invite you to remember that asana, the poses, are the most superficial layer of yoga, and it's fine to just do that and not get into yoga deeper on any level, but just to know that we start with the asanas, but there's so much more to dive into. And within the framework of asana, which literally means seat, the most important principle is Sukha Sthira. So Sthira is steadiness and engagement and strength and firmness, but it's never meant to be without the counterbalance of ease and comfort and softness. And it's a beautiful metaphor as well for the times we're living in right now, because we need to be steady on our feet. We need to be steady in our thinking. We need to have our wits about us when we go to the grocery store. I mean, it's so easy to get all like, do I have the gloves? Do I have the mask? Disinfect, da, 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 da. Oh, did I disinfect that box of crackers that I bought? And we can get really, really frenetic. So we're looking for a steadiness. And we're also looking for a softness that we can take it all and not live in a state of jitters about, am I gonna get it? Do I have it? Am I gonna give it to my kids? Am I gonna give it to my mother? So finding our center now more than ever. Many people I know believe that this is sort of an opportunity sent to us by Mother Nature to help us learn to be still and take quite a few steps back and consider what's going on the planet and how we've been living our lives and what our values are. So in that sense, can we just relax into this with ease? So we're going to work on that in our bodies today and try to fill our more interior selves with that sense of serenity and warmth as well. So one thing I want to demonstrate for you before we start, since I can't see any of you and I can't offer correctives. So I want to talk for a moment about pelvic alignment, because it's really important that you keep that steady yet soft. But so I'm going to stand up and show you 2 pelvic rotations. Okay, so this is an anterior rotation. So there's an arch in my back. This is exaggerated. And the pelvis is tilted forward anteriorly. This is a posterior tilt. So you see I'm rounded back here. This is neutral. And we're going to work on that together today. And we're going to be starting in cat-cow, which is a great way to go between one extreme to the other before finding neutral in the pelvis. So if we come into cow pose, there's our anterior tilt. And then look at my hips as I come into cat pose, posterior tilt. So remembering as we go that what the pelvis is anatomically is basically 3 bones. There's sort of the butterfly shaped ilium, and there is the sacrum, which connects to the spine and the pelvis. and there is the pubis, the pubic bones. The pelvic floor is not bony. It's tissue. I mean, it's got the pubic bones there on either side, but it holds up the organs and muscles. So when we talk about toning the pelvic floor, one of the things that's really important is to have a neutral pelvis. So that said, we'll start out in a seated pose. And remember, this is your practice. You find your sukha, your softness. So any pose that I bring you into, if it doesn't feel right for you, don't do it. Modify it. And that even includes child's pose, which I will try to cue you on modifications for things that are right for you. I can't see who's out there. If anybody is out there and needs some demonstrations for chair yoga, please let Sarah know at the library and she can email me and we can work with that a little bit too. So coming into our seat, you might want to take your hands back under your sit bones. That's the ischium. And that is actually part of the pelvis too. And feel them grounding into the mat. Hands on your thighs or knees. And if you're comfortable, close your eyes. That doesn't feel good to you, closing your eyes. Go ahead and just maintain a soft gaze. And just find your breath. Notice how you're breathing. Notice if it's more in the chest or the belly. Don't try to change it. Don't judge it. Just let it be your natural breath. The moment we start tuning into our breath, it does soften. So our autonomic respiratory system is also a system that we can have some control over. So it works both ways. And when we start becoming conscious of our breath, we have that wonderful neurologic shift from the sympathetic nervous system of flight, fright, or freeze, which we're in a lot these days, over to the parasympathetic nervous system, where we're just able to really come deeply in to being without worry. So noticing the breath, noticing the texture. Does it feel smooth? Does it feel choppy? Notice if your breaths are short or a little lengthier. No wrong way to breathe, but we're definitely working on trying to maximize the intake of fresh oxygen. And on the exhale, what we're really trying to do is bring out not just the CO2, but everything emotional, those toxic bubbles coming up emotionally. Let them pop, let them come out and pop. We don't need them anymore. So one of the great yoga teachers named Jessica Char talked about on every exhale, we're letting go of rubbish. Really taking the time to identify your breath and sitting in it. Open your shoulders, make sure your back is straight and your pelvis neutral. Collarbones wide. And if you can, deepen the breath a little bit here by imagining the diaphragm from the sternum like a plunger, pushing down, pushing air into the belly so you can take more oxygen into the lungs and the rib cage expands more. On the exhale, the belly pulls in as we let go. Inhale, bringing in. Exhale, letting go. Crown of the head rising. Can you feel the steadiness of your seat? A wind could blow and you wouldn't move. And can you begin to feel the softness, lightening any pressure of your fingers on your legs? Letting the shoulder blades slide down the back rather than clench. Jaw soft. Even the spine, which you're lifting, relax. The ribs, the belly as it expands, soft. And we're going to begin in a pose called Bhumi Pranam, so that I can just demonstrate the bandhas for you, the locks, which we have done before in class, but I just want to show you a new way to experience them, because this will stabilize the pelvis when we're taking those locks. So you're going to come onto your bellies, and you're going to bring your forehead onto the mat. I'm going to turn sideways so anybody who needs to can see me. Arms forward on either side of the ears, toes down, and completely relax. Now from here, we're going to take Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha and Jaladhara Bandha, which is in the throat, together. So it's the root lock, the belly lock, and the throat lock. The throat lock, we're not going to pay a lot of attention to, but you're going to feel it in this pose. For the rest of the session, we won't. So forehead down. Now imagine that you're taking your tailbone, the sacrum, and pulling it toward the pubic bone, and the pubic bone toward the sacrum. Almost as though you're trying to bring those bones together. Those are those bandhas or locks. And while your forehead is down, we'll take a Jaladhara Bandha, because it's a good place to do it, just so you can feel it. Try to pull the front of your throat back toward the back of the neck, sort of like you're trying to create double chins, and feel how that stabilizes the upper body a little bit. So relax completely. And then inhale, hold the breath, and take those 3 bandhas. You might feel your buttocks engaging, that's fine. Pubic and sacrum bones together, throat back, and relax. And gently lift yourself up onto hands and knees. Make sure that the shoulders are right on top of the wrist. The fingers are splayed out, middle fingers pointed forward, and that your hips are right over your knees. You're looking down at the mat between your hands. And now you're going to start walking the hands forward, as far forward as you can. We're going soft, so please don't overdo it. You will feel a slight stretch on the insides of the upper arms. Don't push your hips back and don't push them forward. Just try to keep the right angle. And now slowly begin lowering the chest, the heart center toward the mat. Don't go any further than you need to feel comfortable. Take a deep inhale. Exhale. Walk the hands back. Cat-cow. Anterior and posterior tilts. So start with what you think a neutral spine is like. Hips over knees. Shoulders over wrists. And inhale into cow pose. So there's an exaggerated arch in your lumbar spine. You always have a little bit of an arch, but not this much. Now on the exhale, posterior. So pulling that tailbone forward, doming the back, chin to chest. And inhale. Arms stay straight, elbows are not bent. So notice this wonderful massage of the spine that you're being given by the rotation of the pelvis. So the pelvis basically initiates all our movement here. Keep going with your breath. See if you can match the inhale in time to the exhale. Take 2 more. Deep breath. Exhale all that rubbish. Sink the hips back to child's pose if you're comfortable that way. If you're not, you can stay up on your elbows. And if that doesn't work for you, just stay on hands and knees. If you can be in child's pose with your forehead down, do that. You can always put a block under your forehead or a blanket between your calves and the backs of your thighs. Now, inhale up. Take the right foot forward in a lunge. Walk the back knee back a little bit so you don't have quite that same right angle with that leg. Come onto fingertips. So rather than have your fingers curled in a claw-like shape, straighten them in 10 fingers. And you can have your hands on either side of your right foot, or if you're more comfortable with them inside, you can. Try to hug the right knee into the right armpit. And then walk the hands out a little bit. We're not going for lowness. We're not working on the left hip yet, trying to get it down. We're just going for length in the spine. And we're trying to neutralize the pelvis. So we don't want the anterior tilt and we don't want the posterior tilt. We want a neutral pelvis to lengthen the spine. Feel the energy in the crown of the head. Inhale. Exhale. Tuck the left toes under, lift the left leg. Right leg back. Left foot forward, down on the right knee. So again, hands can frame the left foot or be inside. I'm doing it inside. Left toes pointing forward. And walk the hands slightly forward. Don't let the left knee fall out to the side. Lengthen the spine. From the tailbone all the way up the back of the neck to the crown of the head. Take a breath cycle here. Inhale. Exhale. Now feel your steadiness here, your sthira. See if you can soften. Once you're steady, be light or change. What do you need to do here to make this feel more comfortable for you? Don't tell me you need to get out of it. Back to the left knee. Tuck the toes under. Push the hips back. Come on to the elbows, forearms. Interlace the hands. Fly them forward so your hips are up again. And wag the dog, or wag the tail, or wag the dog's tail side to side. It's getting a little stretch in the hips. Now tone your belly here. Pull the navel center in. See if you can soften your shoulders. And now see if you can lengthen your torso a little more so your shoulders come right over your elbows. Inhale. Exhale. Put the hands on the mat. Come onto your belly. Bring your arms to your sides, forehead down. Let's try the bandhas one more time with our arms in this position. So trying to bring pubic bone and sacrum together, trying to create a double chin. Feel that engagement. Can you soften here now? Still pulling in, but breathing. Feeling the softness. Let it go. Bring the hands under the ribs. Lift the head an inch off the mat. Hug the elbows in. Push into the hands. Steady, anchored, moored. Try to suck the belly button in toward the spine. Pull your neck out of your collarbone. I don't mean overstretch it, but don't hunch it in. And then inhale. Lift the chest. Keep your head low. And now open up into a Bhujangasana Cobra pose. Exhale onto the knees. So hips are forward of the knees now. Tucking the toes. Come to a downward facing dog. For anybody who needs to do this with bent knees, that's absolutely fine. Crown points down, hips up. Take any movements you want. Pulling one heel down and then the other. Keep going. Just opening up the hips, the hip flexors a little bit. You can move side to side with the hips. Inhale. And exhale. And now begin walking the hands back toward the feet. Bend the knees. Inhale, arms up sideways. And exhale to heart center. We're going to take a few breaths here. So watch what's going on with the pelvis. Some of us have a tendency to have a natural anterior tilt like this or posterior. Posterior is common because of the way we sit in front of computers and in cars. So I'm going to ask you to just be aware, if you can, of what your natural state is and come to neutral as best as you can. Feet are hip width apart. We're going to inhale, raise the arms up. On the exhale, let go of that rubbish. Palms are down. And again, inhale up. Keep the pelvis neutral. Exhale down. Steadiness in the legs. Total ease in the arms. Bring the hands together, coming to heart center. Back to Tadasana. We're coming into Bandhasana. So bandhas are the locks. I'm coming sideways to show you. Some people call this skier's pose. So inhale up. Exhale, hands to hips, bend your knees. And now lean forward a little bit. Keep that pelvis neutral, not a posterior or anterior tilt. Lift the arms. So imagine you're on the ski slopes. Take an inhale. Don't worry about the throat bandha. Pubic bone, sacrum together. Hold the breath for a moment. Exhale. Inhale up, hands together. Bend the knees, down, into forward fold. Bend the knees. Remember, the feet are hip width apart. Breathe. You can be on knuckles, you can be on fingertips, you can be on flat palms if that works for you. If it's comfortable to you, you can straighten the legs. If it's not, keep the bend. Inhale and exhale. Bend the knees, bring the hands forward, step the left leg back, right leg back, and here we are in downward facing dog again. Push the hips back, look back between your feet. Inhale, right foot comes forward, left knee is down, toes are curled under. Lift the left arm forward. And then if it's comfortable, if you don't have shoulder issues, bring it up. Palm is facing out. Little rotation here of the body. So if you're super bendy, maybe your right armpit is right at the knee. Maybe you're a little less bendy. No judgment here. Exhale down. Right knee next to left. Left foot forward, same thing on the other side. Right arm comes forward. If it's comfortable, bring it up. Palm facing away from you. Can you neutralize the pelvis here? Can you bring the right hip a little more inward to the left? An internal rotation. Exhale down. Lift the right leg. Lift the left leg in downward facing dog. And this time, walk the feet forward toward the hands. Bring the hands to the shins. Our body is in a right angle as much as possible. Knees can be bent here too if you need to. Feel the steadiness. Feel how your arms are like braces. Pull your shoulders back. Don't let them hunch forward. Can you find your ease? Inhale. Exhale. Bend the knees. Bandhasana. We're going to take the bandha. Inhale. Hold the breath. Bring those bones together. Exhale up. Arms down to the side. From here, we're going to take a wide stance. Bring the arms with palms up to either side Again, feel that stability. Feel how your feet are rooted into the mat, which does not mean gripping the toes. Softly. Here we are. We can take anything that comes. What about our pelvic tilt? Are we out like this? Or can we come to a neutral pose with the pelvis? Inhale, bring the hands together. Exhale, point the toes out to either direction. Bring the hands to the heart center, bending the knees, opening the thighs a little bit. So even you're really opening the thigh bone. Your tush can stick out a little bit because what we're really interested in here is a long spine. So sometimes I tell you, only come down as far as you can so that you don't pull under. But here, what we're interested in is like skier's pose, but with this wide pose. So bring your hands onto your thighs, shoulders back. Inhale, exhale. Fingertips pointing downward. Bring them to the mat. Keep the knees bent. So hands can be a little forward or they can be back. Knees stay bent. Rock a little side to side. Inhaling and exhaling. So some of these poses for some of us are certainly not comfortable. Is there a way we can find our ease with them? Just like what is going on in the world right now is not very comfortable for most of us. Bend both knees, even back out. Straighten the legs to any degree possible for you. Some of you might want to take a wider stance, toes pointing outward. Others might want to stay where you are. Now try to point the toes forward, bringing the hands to either the shins or the ankles, looking behind you. Inhale, halfway up, hands on the waist, on the sides of the ilium. And notice the pelvis as we come up. Feel steady. Inhale. Exhale. So here we can either jump our feet together or step them together. And back in mountain pose. So I'm going to turn around. Bring your left foot forward, your right foot back, squared. So the back of your right foot is parallel with the back of the mat. Left toes are forward. And if you drew a line from your left heel all the way back, it would go right into the arch of the right foot. Now, bend the left knee. Bring the left forearm onto the thigh. Turn around this way so you can see me better. Right arm is straight up. So here, we're trying to pull the right hip open. Exhale. Can you find the softness here? Inhale. Perhaps a little more lift in the right arm to get the sides of the ribs, the intercostal muscles open. Exhale. Pull the belly in. Remember, your stability is in the pelvis. Try to keep that so steady. And then softly, just the upper body lifts. Left arm comes forward. Gaze is soft over the middle finger. Shoulders are soft. Breath is even. Can you feel the warmth that comes, not just with moving, but with assuming the softness? So because some of these poses are difficult for some people, different poses for different people, we do tend, while trying to get steady, to push, to muscle through, to get uncomfortable. That's not the point of yoga. From here, bring the right hand to the heart. Turn the left arm so you're looking into the palm. Keep that lunge with the left knee. Inhale. Exhale. Feel the lift in the left side body. Straighten the left leg. Turn the toes forward. Cross the left arm so that the arms are crossed. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bend the knees, scoop. Exhale, release. Let it drop down. Inhale. Exhale. Right foot forward. Bend the right knee. Left foot should already be squared. You could put your left hand on your hip to notice what's going on with the pelvis. As you bend the right arm, bend the right knee, coming into Parsvakasana, side angle, Parsvakasana. Lift, you can have the arm up or alongside the ear, whichever works better for you. Is your pelvis either posteriorly or anteriorly tilted? And can you, instead of pointing the crest toward the mat, open up sideways with it? Inhale. Exhale. The breath is the key to both stability and ease. Vira Sukha. Keep the legs nice and steady, like tree trunks. A tree trunk doesn't consider not being steady. Lift the upper body up, warrior two, and feel like you can almost float the arms like wings. Left hip comes back, both hips. You don't want the left hip higher than the right one. You're not tilting like this. You want them even. Inhale, soften the shoulders, bring the shoulder blades a little bit closer together on the back. Find that ease in the breath. Inhale. Exhale. Left hand to the heart. Right arm rotates. You're looking inside the palm. A modified version would be like this. You decide, where is your softness? Where is your comfort? If this is too much for you, then there's no point in doing it. You're trying to cultivate the sukha. Inhale. Exhale. Take the right foot, turn the toes forward, cross the right arm over the left. Bend halfway down. Bring the hands to the ankles or the shins again. Bend the knees, let the head come a little lower. Bring the hands down. Left knee down. Right knee down. Knees out wide. Child's pose, if that works for you. If it doesn't, you can be like I am, with wide knees and my big toes are together. Always a blanket between the thighs and the calves helps if you have stiffness there in the hips. Inhale. Exhale. So whatever pose you're in here, if you're in a wide-legged child's pose, you might want to bring the hands together in Anjali Mudra above the head. Breathe into the back body. Breathe into the pelvis. See if you can feel a little softening coming into the heart center. Sometimes when things are difficult, we form carapaces, shells around the heart in defensiveness, and we're not even aware of it. Let it begin to break open with the breath. Feeling the luminosity in the heart is its nature. Inhale and exhale one more breath. And then walk your hands back, lift up, come on to the knees. Bring the right leg out. So left hip is over the left knee. Move a little bit so you can see me. And the toes can be at a diagonal, the right toes. So we're bringing our hands down again. You can have blocks if you need them under your hands. Walking the hands forward. Some people might feel comfortable coming onto their elbows. If you're not one of them, who can know what your comfort is but you? Let the crown of the head point down to the mat. This is a gentle stretch. Inhale. Exhale. Lift back on the hands. Take the right knee, cross it over the left leg. Lay the knee and shin down on the mat. Bring the hands toward the right side of the mat. You can keep your arms straight or lower onto the forearms again. And push your hips over to the left. Inhale and exhale. Close the eyes if that feels good. See what you might be releasing in this hip stretch. Let the neck and head be soft. Long, steady, even breath. Up onto the hands. Right knee down. This time our left leg is coming out. Toes are kind of pointed on a diagonal. Hands down. Walking them forward. Find your comfort zone here. Adjust the right hip. You might need to pull it back a little bit so that you have squared hips and your arms can be straight, or you can come down. So the point of this asana here is lengthen the spine again. Inhale. Exhale. Where do you need to soften on the outside? Where might you begin to soften on the inside? Is there enough space between your shoulders and your ears? Is there connection between the heart and the belly. And take the left leg, cross it over the right leg, come onto the knee and the shin, angle, straight arms, or you can be on your forearms over to the left, push the hips to the right, and collapse only as much as is comfortable to you into this stretch. If the head wants to come down or rest on a block, that's fine. If you want to leave it up, soften and release. We hold so much in the hips. And lest you convince yourself that the emotions and the body are not inextricably intertwined. Come on up. I would ask you to remember, come onto all fours and then come to sit on your heels in Vajrasana. I would ask you to remember that who is it in you that has the mind? Is it the body that has the mind? Is it the mind that has the body? Or is there maybe something a little deeper in you that you might call a soul, animus, whatever, that's connecting all of it together? Good. So in Vajrasana, let's inhale up, exhale down to heart center. We're going to take one more pose before coming into Shavasana. So we're coming down on our right hip. Both legs are bent. Right leg is forward of the left. And you can come down with your head on your arm, or you can bring your hand to hold the right side of the head. Take the left hand, place it on the left thigh. Inhale up and exhale. If you're comfortable, you might want to bring that arm overhead. Now bring the left arm down on the mat. Bring the right forearm down. You can stay like this, twisting gently, or if you're feeling like a little more challenge is what you'd like today, you'll try to turn to look toward the right and bring the left ear toward the mat or onto a block. So getting a stretch in the left side body here. I'm going to open my arms wide, which you can do, or you can have cactus arms. Any way you can be comfortable in this twist. Soften into it. Inhale up. Other side. Onto the left hip. Both legs bent, left in front of right. Holding the head or straightening the arm and coming down on it. Right arm over right hip. Lift up. If you're comfortable exhaling the arm over the right ear, you'll do that. And now gently, right forearm comes down. Left forearm comes down. They do not need to be, the left arm is usually higher than the right or the hand. And if you want to stay here, that's fine. If you can lower the left ear to the mat, if that feels good, a block is always a possibility. Find your ease. So thinking about sukha in the meaning of the word ease, think about its opposite. It's dis-ease. And as you breathe into this pose, think about how profound some of these words are in terms of what's going on now. What is dis-ease? It's a lack of ease that's making us sick. Inhale and exhale. Come back to your seat, knees are bent, and gently make your way onto your back. So what is it that we can do in our own softening that might also have waves that emulate out to help the rest of our brethren, to help the planet, to take the dis away from ease? Some people see softness and vulnerability as lack of strength. It's far from the case. So bring your arms alongside the sides of your body, fingertips pointed up, and then lower your hands. We're going to take one gentle bridge pose here, lifting up. And rather than thinking about the hips here, I'd like you to think about pushing your knees away from your heart center. So here we're really lengthening again in the spine, softly, steadily, engaged, and serene. And down. And now bring your knees into your chest, interlace the fingers around the tops of the shins. If you're comfortable with it, bring your head up, chin toward the knees. Exhale, arms out to the sides. Heels on the mat, wider out than the knees. Fold the knees over toward the right. Turn the head slowly so the left ear comes to the mat. Notice how the fingers begin to curl a little. Feel the energy in your palms, like that warmth from your heart is flowing through the arms and pooling in the palms. Perhaps you can feel a little vibration in the fingertips too. Coming back to center, moving the head and the legs and going the other way. Exhale, goodbye rubbish. Let the hips be soft. Feel the warmth in the abdomen, flowing down the legs to the toes. Tune in to the subtle vibrations in the body. Come back to center. Extend the legs down for Shavasana. If you'd like a pillow underneath the knees, that's fine. If you're more comfortable bringing the soles of the feet together in Baddha Konasana, bound angle, do that. and come to a resting pose. And just because you're at home and I can't see you, doesn't mean you have permission to skip Shavasana, final relaxation. This is the most important part to integrate your whole practice. So put your socks or sweatshirt on, cover yourselves with a blanket, wiggle anything that needs to be wiggled. Few more minutes so we can really, really reap the benefits of our practice here. Eyes softly close. Eyeballs sink into the sockets. Allowing the body to feel heavy. And notice your back body on the earth. Though we feel that the rug has been pulled out from under us, know that the steadiness is there. We can trust it. The earth is not opening up to swallow us whole. Perhaps there are lessons that the Great Mother is trying to teach us. And then feel the front of your body light, connecting with the air, with the ether, with parts that we don't necessarily know, with our bodies and our mind. Universal consciousness and love. And bring some little movements into the fingers and toes. And turn on to one side before planting a hand on the mat to help you lift up into a seated pose. If you don't have a blanket or pillow under your hips, just make sure your spine is still straight, your pelvis is neutral. Lift the arms out to the sides, turn the palms up. Inhale, gaze at the hands as they come together, bringing them down to heart center. I will chant an Om, and if you'd like to join me, symbolically coming into harmony with the entire universe. Exhale, deep inhale. Light bow to your own good heart. Namaste.
Namaste.
Be well. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Katey.
You. Thank you, Katey.
Hi, guys. I hear some voices. I can't see you.
Hi, Katie.
Hi. Hey, have a good week, and you guys be gentle to yourselves.
We will.
You
Thank you,
don't
Katey.
have
Bye.
you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You know that messy drawer? It can stay that way. Nobody's going to see it, especially now.